Welcome to Sacred Soul Sync, where we explore NDE and life-changing spiritual encounters. Today's guest, Anna Mitchell, experienced something profound that reshaped her understanding of life, death, and eternity. In 1992, Anna, a 42-year-old mother from Dallas, Texas, underwent a near-death experience that took her to the other side, where she met Jesus and witnessed heaven and hell. Her testimony is transformative, and we're honored to have her with us. Anna, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor to share my experience, especially if it can touch someone's heart. Anna, let's dive in. Until 1992, you were living a fairly typical life. Can you tell us what happened that day? Yes, of course. It was a day I'll never forget, although at the time, it seemed like any other day. I had been struggling with severe endometriosis for years. The pain was almost unbearable, taking over my life bit by bit, and surgery had finally become my last resort. I remember feeling hopeful yet anxious that morning. I prayed quietly before the procedure, just asking for God's protection and healing. I didn't know then that my life was about to change forever. What was the surgery process like? Well, the surgery itself was supposed to be straightforward, as far as surgeries go. I remember talking with my doctor, and he reassured me that it would go smoothly. But still, in my heart, I felt a strange sense of finality. It's hard to describe. I prayed to God for comfort, asking Him to guide the doctor's hands and protect me during the procedure. I had this deep love for my family and wanted so desperately to be free from this pain, to live a fuller life with them. And then you went under anesthesia? Yes, they put me under, and at first, it was just like you'd expect, just a slow drift into darkness. Then, just when I thought I was completely under, I felt something strange. The first sensation was this unbearable pain, deep in my abdomen. It was like fire spreading through my entire body. I remember trying to move, trying to scream, but I was trapped, unable to do anything. It felt as though I was on the edge of life and death, unable to fully leave my body but not able to return either. I could sense the voices of doctors and nurses, but they felt distant, almost like echoes. And then, just as quickly as it began, everything started fading away. And this is when you realized something extraordinary was happening? Yes. I felt myself floating above the operating table, watching everything unfold below me. It was the strangest feeling, no longer bound by the limitations of my body, completely detached. I could see my own body lying there, lifeless, with doctors surrounding me. Their expressions were tense, focused, and it took a moment for me to realize I was looking down at myself. That was a moment of true shock and awe. How did you feel seeing yourself like that? At first, I felt panic. It's one thing to look in a mirror, but to see yourself from above, as if you're watching someone else, it's indescribable. But then something unexpected happened. A peace came over me, slowly but steadily. All the pain, the anxiety, the confusion, I could feel it dissolving, like it was being lifted away from me. I realized then that I had died, but it wasn't scary. It felt peaceful. It was as if I had been freed from a heavy weight I didn't know I was carrying. What happened next? I started to drift upward, moving away from the operating room and into a place that felt like it was just filled with light. It wasn't a light like we have here on Earth. It was alive, almost pulsing with an energy that seemed to wrap around me. It felt like pure love, like every hurt and fear I'd ever known was fading away. And there, in the center of this light, I saw someone standing, Jesus. He was more radiant than anything I'd ever seen, and there was a kindness in his face, like he was welcoming me home. That must have been incredible. Could you tell us more about what he looked like? Absolutely. He didn't look exactly like the images we see in paintings. He was so much more glorious, so filled with light. His robe shimmered, almost as if it was woven from light itself. His face was gentle and full of kindness, yet there was a deep sadness in his eyes, a grief that seemed to come from love. I felt as if he could see every part of me, every moment of my life, and yet he looked at me with such compassion. His eyes held something beyond description, a love so deep it made me feel like I was the only one in the world, yet I knew he had that same love for every soul. You mentioned he seemed sad. Why do you think that was? It's hard to explain, but I could feel his sadness, almost like he was grieving for every soul that didn't know his love, that had chosen to walk away. And then he spoke to me, but it wasn't like how we're talking now. His voice was within me, filling every part of my being. He said, "So many people seek what I can give them, but they don't seek me." Those words went straight to my heart. There was no anger, no judgment, only a deep sorrow, a kind of sadness that comes from loving someone and watching them turn away. That's incredibly profound. What happened after he spoke to you? Jesus extended his hand to me, and as soon as I touched it, it was like I was transported to another place. Suddenly, I was in heaven. It was more beautiful than anything I'd ever imagined. The colors, the light, the air, it all felt alive, like everything was filled with God's love. There was a garden with flowers in colors that don't exist here, and every petal, every blade of grass seemed to be singing his praises. It was a beauty that was pure and untainted, a kind of joy that felt like it was filling every part of me. Did you recognize any of the people you encountered there? Yes, I did. Jesus walked with me through this beautiful place, and as we moved forward, I saw my grandmother. She passed away when I was a teenager, and seeing her was like reuniting with a part of my heart I thought I'd lost forever. She looked so full of life, so radiant. When she embraced me, I felt her love radiate through me. We didn't need words, it was like we knew each other's hearts completely. She told me how proud she was, how she had been watching over me, and I felt a love and a sense of connection that I hadn't felt in years. Did you see anyone else there? Yes, my father was there too. He passed when I was young, and losing him was one of the hardest times of my life. But there he was, standing strong, younger than I'd remembered him, looking so happy and at peace. We hugged, and I felt this incredible sense of closure, like all the grief I'd carried for him was being lifted away. We didn't speak in words, but I knew he was telling me he loved me and that he'd always be with me, even though I had to go back. How did you feel being surrounded by so much love? It was overwhelming, in the best way possible. I felt whole, complete, like every missing piece of me had been found and put back together. Jesus showed me that this was the love he had for each and every one of us. I felt like I was a part of something much bigger, like we were all connected in this divine love that made us whole. And I saw others there, too, people I didn't recognize, yet I felt connected to them, like they were family. It was a love and a unity that transcended any earthly understanding. Was Jesus still with you during these encounters? Yes, he was by my side the whole time. As we walked, he showed me more of heaven. I saw angels, magnificent beings full of joy and grace, moving in harmony like waves of light. Their presence filled me with awe, they radiated a love and devotion to God that was beyond words. Jesus led me to a throne, a majestic throne surrounded by a brilliance that I knew was God the Father. I couldn't see him directly, his presence was too overwhelming, but I felt his love and power fill every part of me. Standing there, I felt so small, yet so cherished, like every part of my being was fully known and fully loved. Did Jesus show you any other parts of heaven? Yes, he did. He showed me rivers that sparkled like gemstones, fields that seemed to sing, homes that were alive with joy. And then, he asked me if I was ready to see something more difficult, something that would change me forever. I felt safe with him, so I said yes. In that moment, everything changed. Suddenly, I was no longer in heaven. I was in hell. You actually went to hell? What was it like? Yes, I did, and it was terrifying beyond words. Hell was everything that heaven was not. There was no light, no love, only darkness and despair. The landscape was barren, cold, and empty, and the air was thick with hopelessness. I saw people there, but they were isolated, separated from each other and from God. Their faces held anguish, but it wasn't just physical pain, it was a deep, soul-crushing regret and loneliness. Each person was trapped in their own sorrow, as if they were endlessly reliving their worst moments, unable to find any comfort or peace. That must have been horrifying. What was Jesus doing while you were there? He held my hand the entire time, comforting me. He wanted me to understand the reality of separation from God. His heart was breaking for each soul there. He explained that hell wasn't something he wanted for anyone, it was the consequence of turning away from His love, a place created by choices people made, not something God intended for them. Jesus showed me that hell was the ultimate separation from His love, the place where people who reject His grace find themselves. His grief over each person's suffering was so profound it was like I could feel it in my own heart. I realized that God's heart breaks for every soul that chooses this path, and I understood how much He longs for us to choose life with Him instead. That must have been incredibly intense to witness. Did you see anyone specific in hell? Yes, I did. I saw people who looked lost, consumed by regret and bitterness. They seemed to be endlessly reliving their pain, with no way to release it, no relief. There was a man I noticed specifically, someone who had rejected God's love in his life and had allowed anger and hatred to consume him. In hell, that anger was like a cage around him. He was trapped in it, unable to find peace. Each person was alone, disconnected not only from God but from everyone else, which made their suffering even worse. It was a loneliness beyond words, a void where love and light couldn't reach. Did Jesus say why He wanted you to see hell? Yes. He wanted me to understand what it meant to be separated from Him and to feel the urgency of His love for every soul. Jesus explained that hell was the result of a soul turning away from the light of God's love, shutting it out completely. He showed me that He had died to save everyone from this fate, but that we each have to choose Him, to open our hearts and receive that salvation. Seeing hell made me realize how desperately God loves each of us and how deeply He wants us to choose life in Him. His desire is that no one would perish, but that we all would find eternal joy with Him. How did you feel about returning to heaven after seeing hell? It was a relief, like emerging from a suffocating darkness back into the warmth and light of God's presence. As soon as we left hell, I was back in heaven, and I felt God's peace wash over me again. But I also felt a sense of urgency. I realized that I had a mission, a purpose to share what I had seen. Jesus looked at me with such compassion, and He told me, "Your work isn't finished. There are people who need to hear my message, who need to know my love." He showed me that there were souls out there who felt lost, who thought they were beyond saving, but He wanted them to know that His love could reach them, no matter how far they felt from Him. So Jesus was asking you to go back to earth? Yes, He was. It was hard to accept because being in heaven, being with Jesus, felt like home. I didn't want to leave, to be honest. But when He showed me my family, my husband, my children, I knew I had to go back. Jesus reminded me that they needed me, that I still had a purpose to fulfill, people to reach with the truth of His love. He promised me that I wouldn't be alone, that He would always be with me, guiding me and giving me strength. With His love giving me courage, I said, "Yes, I'll go back." That must have been a difficult choice. What happened next? In an instant, I felt myself being pulled back, like I was being drawn through space, falling back into my body. I felt the weight and pain of my earthly body again, and as I opened my eyes, I saw the doctors around me, working frantically. My body felt heavy, weak, but my heart was filled with a profound peace and purpose. I knew that what I had seen was real, that God had given me this experience so I could share His message of love, hope, and salvation with others. And how did this experience change your life once you returned? It changed everything. I came back with a new perspective, a deeper love for God, and an unshakable sense of purpose. I knew that God had spared me for a reason, that He wanted me to share His love with as many people as possible. I became more compassionate, more forgiving. I started speaking at churches, sharing my testimony, and telling people about God's love and mercy. I wanted people to understand that heaven and hell are real, that God is real, and that His love for each of us is beyond anything we can imagine. How has your relationship with Jesus changed since this experience? It's become so much more personal and intimate. I talk to Him every day, and I feel His presence in everything I do. I know He's with me, guiding me, strengthening me. I don't just see Him as a distant figure. I see Him as my Savior, my friend, the one who loves me completely. I also feel a greater responsibility to live in a way that reflects His love, to be kind, patient, and forgiving, just as He is with me. I want to live a life that honors Him and points others to Him. What would you say to someone who is struggling with their faith or who doubts the reality of heaven and hell? I would tell them that God loves them more than they can imagine. I would tell them that heaven and hell are real, and that our choices matter, not just in this life, but for eternity. I'd encourage them to seek Jesus, to open their hearts to Him, because He's always waiting with open arms. Jesus doesn't force anyone to follow Him, but He invites us, gently and patiently. He wants us to come to Him because of love, not fear. And I would tell them that no matter how far they feel from God, His love can reach them. He reached me, and He can reach anyone. That's truly inspiring. Have you had any follow-up experiences, any signs from heaven since your return? Actually, yes, a few. There are times when I felt a strong presence with me, especially when I'm going through something challenging or helping someone else in need. Once, I was praying for a friend who was struggling, and I saw a small vision of Jesus placing His hand on her shoulder, comforting her. It was brief, but it filled me with so much peace. It's little moments like that, reminders that He's always near. And sometimes, when I pray, I can almost hear a faint melody, a song that feels like heaven. It's not something I hear with my ears, but it's like a whisper in my soul. It reminds me of the music in heaven, that unending praise, and it brings me a deep sense of joy and hope. Your testimony is powerful. Thank you for sharing it with us. Is there a final message you'd like to leave with our audience? Yes. I want everyone listening to know that life is a gift, and our souls are precious to God. We're here for a reason, and that reason is to love God and love each other. Don't take a single day for granted, and don't put off seeking God. He's always there, waiting, loving, hoping we'll turn to Him. And when we do, He gives us a peace and joy that nothing on earth can offer. Heaven is real, and so is hell. Choose life, choose love, and choose Jesus. He's worth it, more than anything in this world. Thank you, Anna, for your words and your courage in sharing this with us. It's been an honor. Thank you for allowing me to share. I pray that my story touches someone's heart and brings them closer to God.